Hey there, this is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout. I got a lot of thoughts for you people, and you're going to hear about it. Happy Festivus. Stars win 5-3 against the Sharks at the SAP Center. Their second win over the Sharks in 2 weeks. I really thought this game was more representative of how the December 5th game probably should have gone. Both teams looked kind of tired in that game. So, I mean, this game Thursday night, it is just that was something to see. And if you didn't see that Sharks comeback against the Penguins in the third period and then Klingberg winning in overtime, first off, go back and watch that. But secondly, most people know that the Sharks are for real this year. I believe they had like a 50+% chance of making the playoffs, which is like the best they've had in a long time. And they're never out of a game. So it's late. I'm going to try and be a little swifter about this one. Let's start with how should we view this team? And Dallas looked to have more legs in this game than previously, and I think that's evident with the extra day off. It was an impressive win, however you make of the Stars' play. Anytime you can be a quality team on the road, that's a massive win. So I think Dallas did some really good things in this game, and I also think San Jose did some really good things in this game. I made a point to stay up and listen to Glenn Gullickson's Stars head coach press conference. It was pretty short. Mike Heika asking most of the questions, but I thought his response was representative largely how I felt about this game. Me personally, that's how I'm evaluating whether or not my view of the game was aligned with Gullickson's or some of the players, because, it's easy to be critical or think things are going really well watching on TV or even in the American Airlines Center from the stands. But obviously there's so much more that's going on, and there was tons of strategy that I can't wait to talk about in this game, specifically about the Sharks penalty kill. Thought that was really interesting. But yeah, how should we view this team is they got a big win on the road, and it's a long season, and the Stars shouldn't continue to make excuses for winning. What were they outplayed at points during this game? Sure. Did the Sharks also look bad at points? Absolutely. So I think it was a pretty even game, and I did think Dallas was on their heels a little bit, but the shot count might be a little deceptive, but in most of the first period and a half, I thought there weren't a ton of grade A chances for the Sharks. But that said, they had a lot in the second half of the game, and I wonder how much of that was Dallas playing a 4-2 lead. They're traditionally very good about locking down, a lead. They're now 14-0, I believe, when they're up after 2 periods. So they kept that streak going. And as tenuous as it was down the stretch, Dallas deserves credit for holding on defensively, and I thought they played pretty well defensively, all things considered. I'll probably forget, but I don't want to lose out on this Nils Lundkvist. I really thought that he made some really big plays in the third on some 2-on-1s and some plays deep in his zone, especially considering it looked like, he's still earning the trust of the team and also coming back from his injury. So I thought largely the defense played pretty well. And that said, another note that stuck out to me is they were able to spread the minutes around a little bit better. Probably forced to do that on the road and knowing that they have a game against Anaheim on Friday. But, Miro Heiskanen only played 23-48. Normally he's pushing 25, 26 minutes easy. So I thought this was Thomas Harley's best game in a little bit. I know he was, he's seeing a lot of the tough matchups for sure, but his ice time is going up, and I think he's looking a little bit more like himself. How should we view this team? As a great road team and a team that knows how to stick out, hold on to a lead and stick out a close one. I mean, Dallas knows how to play in these close games. They have for many years. And this seemed no different than many of the other games we watched last season. So impressive 2 points. Doesn't matter how you cut it. So we'll just go, quickly through some of the goals and just how the game shook out. And, first off, that first goal from Rope, man, if Rope is all alone in the front of the net like that, good luck. But also, don't let Mikko Rantanen in his office behind the net, because especially on the back end, you could just see that play developing, and the San Jose defenders were not covering Rope very well in the slot, but also it just took like a really accurate pass from Mikko to get it to him. So you could I got the sense that as soon as Mikko had it behind the net there and players were all looking at him, which teams tend to do when he has the puck. I don't know how you miss Rope Hintz driving down the slot, but Mikko saw him, and that was one of the prettier passes you'll probably see. And then, it looks like it's, Wyatt gets the second goal, but I had to double check because I thought for a second that might have been on the power play, because it was precisely where he does a lot of his damage. If Mikko Rantanen's office is behind the net, then Wyatt Johnston's office is in the slot. And I don't know why teams don't cover him. I thought there were a few games previously in which Dallas kind of shook up their power play looks, and he was not in the slot for a couple, and just seems like whenever Wyatt can get there, the puck is off his stick so fast, and he elevates in tight so fast that it's really hard to stop that shot. And as Razor says, you have to elevate to accumulate, especially that close. Not really much Nedeljkovic could do there. We'll get to him in a bit. I'm going to pronounce it, but that's just for my fans here. Muka Dumoulin. All right, here we go. Mukhamadullin. Shakir Mukhamadullin, gets the first one for the Sharks. Not much to say about that one, honestly. Also, lots happening in this game. I have a lot more vivid memories of some of those stops that Ottinger made with his pad. And, Wyatt gets the power play goal from the slot. Somehow, Dallas is only earning one power play a game in some of their recent games. I was a little confused how they only got one power play out of this, but, I don't want to be that guy that's constantly critiquing the rest. They definitely have a hard job, and it's happening fast out there. But that said, they missed a couple obvious ones, especially that one on Miro Heiskanen where he's tripped, and you don't see him that upset very often. For any video viewers, my dog is having a pretty good dream in the background, so probably dreaming of Stars goals. Colin Graf. I've watched a lot of Sharks games this year. I don't know a ton about him, but I'm certainly going to remember him now. He gets, what can you say? I can't believe I haven't said his name yet, but Macklin Celebrini is incredible. He's got to be in the race for the Hart Trophy, right? I think I can't roll my eyes hard enough. Everyone's all about McKinnon, and of course McDavid is always going to be in the conversation, and everyone wants to look at the points. But if I'm choosing a Hart Trophy winner right now, it's got to be Macklin Celebrini. All of that contingent on if the Sharks make the playoffs. So if they don't, you can't give the Hart to him. But if they do, right now he's got to be the leader in the clubhouse. I don't care how many points McKinnon has. It's Celebrini right now. This kid is electric. And in the third period, anytime he has the puck, he's making things happen. He's got really incredible senses on when to shoot, when to pass. And that pass he had to Graf for the second Sharks goal, first off, it was a little defensive breakdown, but you still have to make the pass. So incredible goal from Graf and incredible pass from Celebrini's. Alex Nedeljkovic, man. People will criticize Casey DeSmith. We'll call it a New York pizza on the 5-on-3. And it was just a miscommunication with Miro Heiskanen and their win over the Kings. But I mean, Nedeljkovic, I'm not sure what he's doing there. I just like, I'm really struggling to find an excuse for him. That's a deep dish pizza from Chicago. Just put it up the boards. I mean, you could fart and fall down and make a better play than passing it directly up to the in the middle of the ice to a Cutting Stars player, Justin Rizkovian. So, I mean, he does what he needs to do and puts it in I believe it was the left side of the net. I mean, he's still got to hit the net in a short amount of time, but man, that's a tough goal. I mean, that's a tough goal to give up if you're the Sharks, and must have been pretty tough to watch as a Sharks fan. So it's 4-2. Dallas undefeated when leading after 2, but I mean, if you watch that game against the Penguins and the Sharks came back down 5-1 entering the third and then won in overtime on the Klingberg goal, I mean, the Sharks have it. They are never out of a game, and Dallas has that as well. Thankfully, they don't find themselves in as many situations, but you know, this wasn't a game you could turn off after 40 minutes. Got a good friend that's a Sharks fan, shout out Derek, that, probably after a big Thursday night football game and, you're down 4-2, probably pretty easy to kind of not watch the third. But this Sharks team's never out of a game, and they certainly made a game. Graf gets another one off another good passing play from the Sharks, and Celebrini makes that happen. He's got 35 assists on the year. Unreal. And then, of course, Benn gets the empty netter, but in between the second Graf goal and Benn's empty netter, man, there were a lot of good Jake Ottinger saves. Not sure on whom, but there was a good pad save, reflexive pad save that really was impressive. Almost too many to count. Ottinger was unreal this game. And yes, he gave up 3 goals, but I believe he stopped 34 of 37. And, he won't get a headline, but he definitely was a major reason the Stars won this game. So try and pick it up a little bit. 3 stars. I got Wyatt number 1. The kid's unreal. If Rantanen wasn't doing what he's doing this year, I think the conversation would be around how good Wyatt is and how great Jason Robertson's been this year. But I mean, the Stars have guys. They've got guys on guys. Maybe not that way, but they got so much skill. I mean, that's what I'm saying about Rope coming down the slot here. I don't know how you miss him getting the slot, and it feels like you would want to put a body or a stick on him. So first star will do Wyatt Johnston. Not that there's anything wrong with that for any of you Seinfeld fans. Number 2, I got a split one here. You could really make the case that Celebrini was the best player on the ice, and I think that was obvious. But they didn't win, and it's Graf with the 2 goals. So I got to pick one. I'm going to pick Celebrini. He made stuff happen. And yes, Graf had the 2 goals and, sue me, but I mean, Macklin is incredible. He's just incredible. Every time he's got the puck, he's making stuff happen. So third star, and I'll wax a little bit poetic here. It's got to be Ottinger. He's not listed in the 3rd stars, but if he's not playing the way he was tonight, last night, the Stars don't win that game. He was incredible. His pads were great. His rebound control was great. There was a backhander by Shark a little late in that 3rd period. If he didn't have good rebound control, Celbrini's right there to scoop up the rebound and put it in probably. He was just dynamite. I really thought this was, one of his better games of the year. And it's tough to say considering he gave up 3 goals. But, Ottinger's definitely finding his groove lately. It was a tough game against Florida, but I think largely he's just been really, really great the past 7, 9, 10 games. So I'm going to give him the 3rd star. And yeah, you can always make a case for the goaltender, but I just don't think you can tell the story of this game without Ottinger. And so for that reason, I'm in on Jake Ottinger. It is late, people, but I'm sticking with it. I'm trying to put one out because, man, what an exciting game. Because I really could keep talking about this. So, you know, Stars get their 23rd win of the year, their 12th road win. They just keep on trucking. So, the schedule's going to keep coming along here, and they're going to have some more games in which they look a little tired. But, it really doesn't. It doesn't really matter how it shakes out. Dallas gets another big road win against a quality team. Sharks are 10-6-3 at home. Yes, if you simplify it, they're almost 500, but still, I mean, they're a really good team at home. I got a chance to see them play the Bruins at the SAP Center a few weeks ago, and they were really good. I think in that game, they got up and coasted a little bit, but I mean, this team is never out of it. They've got energy pouring over the boards with their youth, and love to see John Klingberg playing well. Always will be rooting for him. That said, he looked a little shaky tonight. I thought I was really keying in on how he would be playing, and I thought that there was that. I think one of the Sharks power plays. I mean, Foxa just beasted him. I mean, he just was reading Klingberg like a book. And then I remember a pass by Klingberg, like directly to Esa Lindell in the slot. And I don't know if that was mental fatigue or what, but yeah, Klingberg just didn't seem to quite have it this game. So that said, like, he's going to be, a staple in their lineup, I think, moving forward with how he's played lately. So yeah, he's -2 on the night. That was, he didn't have his best game. So I did want to touch on the Stars defense. I really can't get over the fact that Miro only played almost 24 minutes tonight. And, he's going to, I would expect him to play closer to 26 or 27 against the Ducks on Friday. So, but I mean, Esa ends up playing the most. I mean, Esa was incredible. He had 2 apples and is almost playing 26 minutes, and 5 of those minutes are shorthanded. I mean, you want to talk about one of the most underrated players in the league. Has to be Esa Lindell. I can't remember because it's been a long night, but yeah, I really wanted to shout out Niels Lundqvist. I really thought he made some great plays on some rushes and then pinned in his defensive zone. He was really impressive, and I could talk about Moose every game, all game. But yeah, he is just incredible, and how you could make a really strong case for him being one of the 3 stars. So, his chemistry with Wyatt, I think, is undeniable. And I really can't wait to see that pan out in the playoffs and as this regular season goes along. So, Dallas did what they do best, which is lock down after 2 periods and be opportunistic with their scoring. They always seem to find that, extra gear, or, I mean, there were times at which they didn't look very good in the third, but I mean, also late in the third, they were, controlling much of the play with, at least some of their top lines on. So when Dallas got in trouble, it was with the third and fourth lines on the ice. So I think that's as much down to Sharks having last change at home and some key face-off wins, and just the game of hockey, just kind of Stars in bad position. But I mean, it can happen so fast. So I really thought they did well defensively in big moments. So especially in dealing with the Shark speed and their creativity, and just Macklin. I mean, you can quiet him for a period, but he's going to impact a game at some point. And it was very evident that, he was going to put the team on his back and really force a pretty strong effort from the Stars. And, they give up the 1 to Graf, but, they give the Stars credit. They didn't break in the past few minutes and the last few minutes, and especially when they pulled Nedeljkovic. Also just some like curious plays from the Sharks late. So shout out Ben Hayslip, little snorer over here. Oh yeah, we'll just try and move it along. Got another late game tomorrow night. We'll move on to our Stars Ducks preview. Yeah, I mean, let's lost a big one to the Ducks 7-5 earlier this year. And it was a little eye-opening, especially coming off, a big win over Edmonton. They didn't look very good. And it's not like they were being heavily, I mean, the Ducks only had 25 shots. So I think Andre wasn't very good that game, and that could just be a matchup. And also, I am not surprised to see how the cadence of these starts panned out to get DeSmith against the Ducks and just give them a different look. And it seems like DeSmith does really play well against on the second night of a back-to-back. So I'm sure I would expect a pretty high energy game from the Ducks. They're coming off a 4-3 loss to Columbus on Tuesday. They've lost 3 of 4, but they've been on a 5-game road trip. They were 2-3 on that road trip. So there's a theory at which you're coming off a long road trip and coming home. That first home game is a trap game. I can't imagine that the Ducks are going to be ill prepared playing the Stars, given that A, they've already beat them this season, and B, the Stars certainly have a target on their backs given the success they've had in the past few seasons, both in regular and postseason, and just how they've done this year. So I'm sure the Ducks are going to be ready for him. Leo Carlson's got a lot of talent. Chris Kreider had 2 goals in that game against the 7-5 win. And I mean, he's maybe not even their third or best forward. So I do really like Chris Kreider as a player, though. So no shade to him at all. But Cutter Gauthier is having a really good season. And I mean, look, like they got Alex Killorn on their team. And, last year when they were bad, I kind of wondered if they'd keep Killorn or like trade him off. But yeah, he's been a really valuable player. He was really valuable for the Tampa Bay Lightning during their, historic run, and they're, good again. But I mean, Terry's got a ton of skill. Vatrano's got a ton of skill. Like Mason McTavish scored in that game. The Ducks are for real, but am I ready to say they're going to be a threat in the playoffs? I think we got to see a lot more hockey from them before we start anointing them as a playoff threat. It's interesting because I do feel a lot more confident about how San Jose's game would transfer if it did make the playoffs. But I think that's just kind of my fascination and me being enamored with Celebrini. I just think that, man, when he's cooking, that team is on another one. So, I'm sure the Ducks will be providing some energy and entertainment on Friday. So be curious to see Dallas's energy level after a pretty difficult game and much more up-tempo game, and what I expected to see in that Stars 4-1 win over the Sharks earlier on the 5th, December 5th. And this game, Thursday night on the 18th, I thought it was more representative of what I expected to see out of these two teams, in that it was a track meet and special players doing special things. So yeah, the Ducks haven't exactly been playing lights out. So we'll see how they rise to the occasion of playing the Stars, because I'm certain that they're looking at this game as another litmus test for them to see if they're for real. And I'm sure they're wanting to make some statements around the league, and, especially as we're heading into the holidays and, people get a little bit more chance to watch some hockey and watch some teams that they may not get a chance to. So a lot of good hockey coming up, and I'm really looking forward to this game against the Ducks. I would expect it to be pretty high voltage and high energy, and I would expect DeSmith to have to make a lot of saves for the Stars to win. But that said, don't let Dallas get a lead, because I do think that they have a defensive lockdown level that the Ducks probably don't have. I could see, if the Ducks got a lead or if Stars got a lead, that they would be way better about locking that down than the Ducks. That said, Dallas was up 2-0 in their 7-5 loss to the Ducks off 2 Wyatt Johnston power play goals. So, then the Ducks I mean, it doesn't. They score fast too. That's the thing with them and the Sharks. It didn't take them very long to even the game at 2-2. So, and then it's like 4-3 by the end of the second. So, scoring is not their issue. That's for sure. So, I would expect to see a barn burner tomorrow. But I thought that against the December 5th game against the Sharks, and it was relatively low event. So we'll see. Hockey's a fickle game. But yeah, I feel like hope to bring another pod after the Anaheim game. We'll see. It's been, these late games are pretty tough for the average person to stay up late, but I would challenge any of the newer Stars fans to talk to some of the older ones, in which the Dallas was in the Pacific Division, and the majority of their games on the road were in the Pacific time zone. So, maybe I got that instilled in me at a young age, and they don't seem to phase me as much. But yeah, shout out Dallas Stars postgame show, Brett Seven, Brian Ray. I mean, to bring that energy and perspective this late at night, that's not nothing. I definitely wouldn't consider this one of the smoothest episodes. So, but I mean, it was, what an entertaining game. Anytime the Stars and Sharks match up, boy, would that make a good playoff series. Dallas would probably have to make a 1 seed for that sort of matchup to happen, or them totally fall off and fall into a wild card. But I mean, yeah, that would be really fun to see. I think that would really be one of the more exciting series I can think of in a minute. So I'll be rooting for the Sharks this season. I think, they're a really great story, and, they are starting to become a thorn in the side of some of these teams. And, they're a great story now. It's easy to like them now if you're a Stars fan, but, wait till, other parts of the season, and them potentially, rivalries heat up fast in the NHL. It can happen real fast. I wouldn't be surprised to, also see this game against Anaheim be pretty contentious and potentially nasty. I bet I wouldn't be surprised to see a fight, especially given Dallas lost the last game. So I would also expect a little bit more physical play from Dallas. They got out hit in Dallas by Anaheim, and I would expect that to be a little bit more even. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in to this one. Sorry it's not as fluid as maybe some of the other ones, but Dallas wins 5-3 at the SAP Center. Big win, big road win. Back at it again tomorrow, and hopefully they can end a pretty good 2-game road trip before they come back on Sunday against a Toronto team that lost 4-0 to the Caps tonight. So catch you guys next time. If you guys have any comments, questions, DallasHockeyHangout@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter @Patrick Hayslip. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.